Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. A quick reminder of our top stories now. Bandits attacked two communities in Batsari local government area of Katsina State, kill at least 30 people, most of them women and children. Delta State Governor Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa asked police and military authorities to fish out armed herdsmen responsible for the killing of 8 people in Ugeli local government area. Federal government warns against plans by some groups to stage protests across the country to demand the sack of the nation's service chiefs, alleges that action is masterminded by the opposition. And Chinese tourist dies in France after contracting the new coronavirus, the first fatality from the disease outside of Asia. Plus, business and sports. Our website channelstv.com has more information on our top stories and others. To subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple, Android, Fire and Roku TV. The dust raised by the Supreme Court judgment on the Bayelsa State governorship seat may have begun to settle, but it remains a subject of interest to some legal practitioners. 2 senior lawyers have been reviewing the outcome of the judgment and the polity and the lessons it has for the country. In an interview with our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shoele, Mr. Jiti Ogunye and Mr. Adeshina Adebite said that politicians need to learn to be upright.
The question is, can't there be ways in our laws and in our judicial determination of these cases to ensure that the right thing is done without shortchanging the electorate? Because we must worry about the quality of our democracy. I get agitated when, with a stroke of judicial pen, it is possible to just say 500,000 votes are wasted. It's like you are wasting, it's like, literally speaking, it's like you are using a judicial pen to commit mass murder. You know, the manner of speaking, 500,000 votes are wasted. So I think that the lesson from all this is that we shouldn't continue to have this kind of audits. And for politicians, which is the fourth point I want to make, politicians must learn their lesson. Integrity matters.
What this judgment has done for us is to teach the party lessons. That if you are presenting any candidate, those candidates must be properly screened, ensure that you do not compromise the standard and do not bypass the law just because you prefer a particular candidate and you feel such person should go in, even over those who are more qualified. So the candidates of any party must meet the minimum requirements of the law. And the party must, in fact, I feel that if there is any opportunity to review the electoral, there should be a stiffer penalty to parties.
Seven people have been confirmed dead in an accident involving a truck, a bus and a space wagon on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, with 10 others injured. The Ogun State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Clement Oladele, attributed the cause of the accident to speeding and mechanical deficiency, expected to be a brake failure. Angered by the incident, angry youths protesting the deaths set ablaze the truck suspected to have been responsible for the accident. It said that the injured victims were rushed to the Ota General Hospital, while the bodies of the 7 people were deposited at the Ifo General Hospital morgue in Ogun State. As promised, let's now examine the issues of the Ogoni cleanup, and we're now being joined live from Benin City, the Edo State capital, by an environmental activist and executive director of Environmental Rights Action, Mr. Nemo Bassi. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on the News at 10. It's about 9 years since the Nigerian government began the move to clean up oil spills in Ogoni land following the United Nations intervention. What is your assessment to this point on the efforts so far taken to make the matters better?
Thank you very much for having me on this program. But first of all, let me just correct the fact that I'm the Executive Director of Health of Mother Earth Foundation, not Environmental Rights Action. I stopped being the director of that organization 7 years ago. Now, the Ogoni cleanup, counting from the date of the submission of the UNEP report, would be 9 years, 9 years now. But we need to understand that it took a long time for the actual cleanup to take off. And after the actual cleanup took off, it actually also took a lot of time to re-examine what was presented by UNEP in that report. Because, for example, on some excavations showed that whereas UNEP report submitted in 2011 had said that the hydrocarbon pollution went as far as 5 meters deep in some places, after excavations a year ago, some of these places were found to have gone deeper, up to 7 meters now. So it wasn't just a question of picking up the UNEP report and getting contractors to begin the cleanup. So it took a lot of preparatory work being done. I think although the process has been slow hampered by some factors, by and large, I believe that the program, the cleanup, is on track.
Complex is it though, if the program is already on track? How complex is the task of cleaning up Ogoni land, those polluted lands especially?
Yes. Now, the problem, the difficulty to the cleanup is that we are talking about cleaning up polluted groundwater, which is the first aquifer where many Nigerians drill their boreholes to. It's polluted in the place like Ogale in Eleme area, in some other areas, so some of swamps that are being polluted and some land polluted. And so it's very complicated, and the pollution has been there for some places up to 60 years. So we're talking about a deep, long delayed pollution that has not been cleaned up. And so it's very complicated. Some are very massive and some are less complicated. And what HYPEP did was to give out the first set was the areas that are not very complicated, then the current set that has just been given out would go into areas that are more complicated. And of course, the major contention for many stakeholders is the balance of provision of emergency actions, or provide the architecture for continuous cleanup, and also handling the pollution itself. This is what makes the work a bit complicated and difficult.
Now let's look at the concerns, really, because the residents of that area are insisting that they are not being carried along towards the whole process, and are looking at that award of contracts. What do you make of that? Do you think that it's a threat to the work that has been done?
Well, the complaints, I heard many of those complaints, and I also heard it as you reported in your news tonight. Really, when jobs of this nature, unfortunately, pollution can create jobs, which is not anything that everybody wants. We want jobs from clean environment, not jobs to clean up polluted environment. There should be no pollution in the first place. Now, the pollution has occurred, and we find it in other parts of the Niger Delta, where oil companies give jobs to local contractors, to people from communities, and if they don't have the capacity to clean up, then, of course, the people, knowing who the contractor was, are not able to complain that the job was not done. So companies can show you certificates of completion of cleanup, and then you go to examine the area that was to have been cleaned up, and the cleanup did not happen. This is what the UNEP report also confirmed in Ogoni land. All the areas the oil companies said they had cleaned up, the UNEP said they did not see the evidence of the cleanup. So to me, the local people must be I would plead with people to be patient with the system and actually demand for contractors with best competence, whether they're Nigerians or they're foreign contractors, to be given the task of the cleanup. There's nowhere in the world, no other place in the world where pollution of this magnitude has been tackled. We have a massive problem. The Nigeria Delta is about one of the top 10 most polluted places in the world. We need the best and competent hands to handle the cleanup. It shouldn't be a question of local patronage or politics.
Mr. Nemo Bassi, an environmental activist, I must sincerely thank you for sharing your thoughts with us here on the News at 10. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you.
The Ogun State government has approved the award of contracts for the reconstruction of the Ijebu-Ode-Ekpe road to facilitate trade and movement of people and improve the socio-economic development of the state. The state governor, Mr. Dakbo Abiodun, announced this while meeting with transition chairmen of the 20 local government areas of the state. He asked the local government's officials to key into his vision to provide effective leadership and service delivery at the grassroots.
Ogun State local government officials meeting with the state governor, Dakbo Abiodun, on how they can work together to move the state forward. Committing to improving the ease of doing business, industrialization, and ensuring an all-inclusive governance through accountability are some of the things the state government believes will bring about the desired result.
We want to be focused, we want to be qualitative, we want to create an enabling environment for public-private sector partnership. We believe that is fundamental to the economic growth of the state. And when there's economic growth in the state, it will trickle down to individual prosperity.
The governor is positive that one way to drive economic growth is improving infrastructure, so he matches words with action, announcing the approval for the reconstruction of the 14-kilometer Ijebu-Ode-Ekpe road.
The Ekpe-Ijebu-Ode road is an alternative road to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That is why we have prioritized it. We are going to turn the sword on that road, I think sometime next week, and construction will start immediately. By the grace of God, that construction will be completed in 12 months without fail.
The Ogun State government says it's passionate about grassroots development, and working closely with the local government is another way it hopes to bring about the positive impacts on the people.
To other stories now, a fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Mr. Larry Doe, has been speaking on the need for media professionals to draw from their experiences to drive change in the society. The author, trainer and editor shared his views at the public presentation in Lagos of 3 books written by him. The books explore memories of times when life was simpler and more organized, raise questions regarding Nigeria's policies and history, also tells a story of the uneasy relationship between the military, government and the Nigerian Guild of Editors.
I believe there are strong messages for the media, for the general public about Nigeria, the state of Nigeria, the Nigeria of our dreams, the Nigeria of our hope. What are those things that we need to do? What are those things, those habits that we need to cultivate? And it's also important also that in sharing messages, you have people act on those messages. When you do so, you feel fulfilled as an author, as a writer. So what I have tried to do is to draw on my experience and share with the reading public some of those things that I think are relevant to our human condition and that can bring some change in the society.
When the News at 10 returns, Securities and Exchange Commission seeks extensive framework on public-private partnership to help government achieve infrastructure targets. That's on Business News. Stay with us.